to In the Hot Seat with Tenney Group. I'm Meg Muir. It's good to be with you. So, how can we help more women in trucking connect? I am really excited for our guest to be on the show today. Sharae Moore is the founder of She Trucking Foundation. Sharae, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me today. It's such an honor to be on your show today.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe give our audience a little bit of a preview of She Trucking Foundation, how you started the organization, and where the organization is within the transportation sector today.
Well, I founded She Trucking back in 2017. I am a professional truck driver. She Trucking is a nonprofit organization. We are committed to helping women and minorities in the trucking industry be successful. We currently have about 30,000 women now who we
Wow,
mentor and coach every year. Uh,
that's amazing.
now, yeah, thank you. And so we give them the tools and resources to be successful with just pretty much answering the questions that they have, as far as like what trucking company to start with, different things like that. That's where it starts. Is how do I get a CDL? We answer all those questions up to how do I become an owner operator? How do I own my
Sure.
truck? And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's great. So 30,000, that's a huge number. So talk to me a little bit about the growth of She Trucking Foundation. How did you reach that network? And maybe share a little bit about what the mentors are doing within She to help the new members who are coming on board.
Well, we organically grew. Back in 2017, I started a mentorship program to match other women in the industry who had experience with new new people who was entering to the industry. And
Sure.
Facebook actually reached out and invited us to the headquarters, and
Oh
we
my
did a
goodness.
couple of things through the pandemic. We're giving out 10 boxes,
Wow.
I'm sorry, 10,000 boxes across the United States of PPE,
Oh, sure.
supplies during COVID, and
Yeah.
all kind of things we did with Facebook. And it pretty much grew it. Word of mouth
Wow.
really grew it, and being on other platforms as well. We did a video with Uber Freight, the Breaking Bobby Bones show on
Yeah,
National
sure.
Geographic, and CNN Champion for Change. So those different, platforms are spreading the message that, hey, you can be a woman, you can get your CDL and come into the transportation industry was music to people's ears. They didn't know that they could, but now a lot of people realize that they could, and they're doing it.
I love it. I mean, I absolutely love partnering and helping spread the word for females who are interested in getting in transportation and being advocates for how they can progress in different avenues within the supply chain space. Because a lot of people think supply chain and they think of one specific part of supply chain, right? And there's a whole world out there where women can play in the space and play really dang well. And so it's always exciting to see and hear from people like you that have founded organizations that are really the backbone to support females getting into this space and then mentoring people that want to grow within this space. So, share a little bit more about how did you initially get into transportation? I hopped on your website and I know that trucking kind of runs in your blood, it sounds like, but I'm just curious, why trucking? How did you get into it?
Well, I started in 2014. Next year will be 10 years.
Wow,
My dad is a truck driver. My mom was a bus driver. So,
great.
um, at the time, I really didn't know what my dad did because and I said, I want to, drive like and he was like,
Mhm.
no, don't do it. Many women don't, they don't drive,
Yeah,
don't
sure.
do it. And I said, well, Dad, I already got my CDL. At the time, I had went
Dad,
off
I'm
to
doing it. I'm
school.
doing it, Dad.
Mhm. Yes, I went to Swift Transportation,
Oh, sure.
and
Yeah.
so that's where I got started,
Okay.
and getting my commercial driver's license, and it all started because I saw a
Oh,
newspaper article, and it
okay.
said, "Get your CDL, you can make 40,000." And I was a CNA. I had been a
Oh, sure.
CNA for 8 years,
Okay.
and I was only making about 10,000 a year. So it was just a no-brainer to me. I didn't have any kids. I was able to jump up, apply for school, and get started. And so that's how I got started in the industry. And once I got here, it wasn't a lot of women. I was
Sure.
one of the And a lot of companies that I used to work for, I will be the only woman that's there, you
Sure.
know.
Oh yeah,
So I
absolutely.
said, we got to change this. I want to be the change that I wanted to see, right? So I put
Absolutely.
myself pretty much out there and became visible and was teaching people the ropes just by showing them, hey, this is how you hook up the truck, this is how you shift gears,
Yeah.
teaching them different things, giving them strategies on passing a test because
Yep.
the CDL permit test was so hard.
Yep.
That you say fifth wheel, you counting tires. You think it's one of the 18 tires, but it's not. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah,
so
pre-trip inspections and, yeah, I
yeah,
think that's so interesting. One of my first roles was in driver recruiting, so I used to go around to a lot of the truck driving schools and call on, the truck driving students to join different organizations I was with, and, it's amazing how intense those programs are,
mhm.
and some of them are short and much longer, and others are more prolonged programs, but it's unbelievable what they learn, and how technical that training actually is.
Absolutely. Um, when I started, it was two other women that was in my class, but I was the only one that made it through
Wow.
to the end. And it
Yeah,
took me, but I didn't make it on the first try. So I
sure.
always tell people, don't give up because it took me a while to
Yeah.
pass and get my commercial driver's license, but it was the best decision I could have ever made.
That's wonderful. So I know transportation, a lot changes in relatively short periods of time. You're always learning, the space is always evolving. And with that comes some challenges and difficulties, and some of which are presented certainly to females in the space in a male dominated industry. So maybe share a little bit about some of those challenges and obstacles that you faced in your career in transportation and how you've overcome them.
Well, I was one of the founding members of the Women of Trucking Advisory Board for the FMCSA and Department of Transportation, and
Wow.
so that was one of our top things is how we can make the industry better for women in the industry. The first thing we wanted to tackle was like providing a zero tolerance policy at the trucking companies, which would include, protecting the women when they there, because
Mm,
it's difficult when you are going you go through training and then you
mhm.
have to spend a month with a stranger, which is
Sure.
normally a male who's going
Absolutely.
to be training you. Now that
Yep.
was back, now we have more women trainers, but more are needed. I will say.
Absolutely. Sure.
So most of the time you are with a strange male for months and you're in the truck by yourself and things happen. That was the one of the biggest challenges that we still are fighting for, I would say, is to get those zero tolerance policies that the trucking companies put in place.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
top of
Making
my
sure that
priority.
women mentors are with women mentees, right? Certainly in over the road, long length of haul, et cetera. And within hours of service, right? You don't want to be under a training circumstance like that with a male and a female, and then you're out of hours of service. That can be challenging too. And I know some organizations have evolved a lot in that, right? Where they're having hotel accommodations, et cetera. And that's nice to see. But it's neat. I didn't know that there was a group behind that advocating for that change specifically, and really pushing for it to continually evolve. I think that's wonderful.
Absolutely. So it's been many years. Many people have been advocating to get that put in place, and we
Yeah,
hoping that here soon that it will, be a thing.
yeah,
But it has gotten better. I would say the industry has completely gotten better.
yeah,
One of the it has completely gotten better. And
yeah,
some of the things that are new, like double brokering and different things like that, that's all new since the pandemic, challenges
yeah,
of if you pick up freight, if you don't know what double brokering is, if you pick up freight and that's not your load, I mean, that someone else may broke it out that load, then it could cost your whole trucking company to go out of business. And
sure.
that's what we're starting to see is people going out of business and trying to help save them. We have a
Mhm.
member now who's experiencing it. So that's
Mm.
one of the challenges that they're going through.
Yeah, well, it's great that they have your organization as a backdrop to really help them, support them and get on their feet at a new organization. So that's great. And I know just from your website, I hope everyone, our audience, can jump on and see a little bit about what your organization is doing. But you do have a lot of different neat projects and initiatives going on right now. Maybe share a couple of those and the impact that you hope that they'll have on the industry at large.
Well, we're still gearing up for our She Trucking Expo, and thank you so much. Our website is shetrucking.com. That's
Yeah.
SHETRUCKING.com. And we're getting ready to gear up for our She Trucking Expo in 2025. So we are looking for vendors and sponsors to participate in that. We
Right.
are also going to be doing a Diamonds and Pearls banquet, which
Mm,
is our award ceremony that we be recognize the drivers during that time here
great.
in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I tell people you come and you get your Southern charm, the last one
Love it.
was on the Southern Belle. It was on a riverboat. It was really,
Oh,
really
fun.
nice.
Oh,
Yes.
great.
And
That's
and then
great.
also, we're gearing up for every year we have driver appreciation, and we do our driver appreciation boxes. This year we sent out about 50 boxes across the United States, and it comes with different supplies,
Uh-huh.
safety equipment, gloves, safety vests. We currently just ran out of safety vests, so that's one of the donations. If anyone want to donate safety vests to our
Sure.
organization, that's one of the things we're looking for to continue to make sure that drivers have supplies and
Yeah,
while they
absolutely.
out there on the road.
Sure.
Um, so that those are our top three, things that we do on a yearly basis.
Wonderful. You're busy. You've got a lot coming in as you round out the year, it sounds like. Good for you. So, talk to me a little bit. I mean, we talked a little bit about the evolution or the changes that happened within supply chain and specifically trucking in general. A lot of key developments and changes happen pretty quickly in this space that require we evolve and adapt and can iterate on the ways in which we do things today. Maybe share a little bit from your perspective about what are some of those trends or key developments that are happening right now in our space relative to the future of trucking? And then how will your organization adapt or play in that space with those key developments?
So I love this question again because it's technology is huge in our industry now, and so what we're doing now is we are gearing people up to, if they need to pivot, make that pivot, right?
Hmm.
So they
Sure.
have to learn how to use a computer. As many years
Yeah.
have went by, a lot of the drivers didn't even know how to fill out applications, different simple things.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so now, we're really training them to get more involved with being able to be more, giving them the tools to be equipped to use the computer, be able to, pivot into other parts of transportation and get
Mhm.
certifications and training as well in different
Wonderful.
areas. I think driver retention comes when you can take a driver and they move up within your company. They don't have to stay a driver forever.
Sure.
Making it, like you talked about recruiting, making a driver a recruiter
Hmm.
would be is just ideal because drivers know other drivers. It's easy
Absolutely.
for a driver to bring on other drivers,
Yeah.
and I think it makes the company stronger.
Oh, I completely agree. There's so many success stories seeing CDL drivers come into an organization that really challenge the way that people that don't have a CDL that are within the organization think or might manage different processes internally. And throughout my career, I've seen some great success stories of CDL drivers coming into trucking companies that, like you said, become driver managers or recruiters or fleet managers or load planners. And they do things differently because they understand what life is like over the road. And I think those promotion opportunities are just wonderful paths for people to progress within supply chain that start off as a driver. So, um, my last question, Sharae, is just your following's unbelievable. You mentioned some of your partnerships. It's incredibly impressive to hear about those partnerships and different relationships that you've developed over the last 10 years with your organization. And with that becomes, there's a lot of responsibility, certainly probably a lot of pressure at times, but some wonderful connections that I'm sure that you've made with many people as you've been able to influence and impact their lives. And I know a lot of people look up to you as a mentor. So maybe if you could close with some words of wisdom or words of advice for people that might be interested in pursuing a career in supply chain or getting their CDL, or even maybe some folks that have that entrepreneurial bug like you had and are interested in starting an organization to really influence the space that they're working in.
Well, first, I just want to thank our sponsors before I go. GLCS as one of our top sponsors. We have My Guardian Doc, they provide healthcare for our members,
Oh,
CTR Media Network, and also Legal Shield. So those are some of the supporters of the organization, and I and if you if you can visualize it, if you can see it, if you can dream it, and God give it to you, do it.
yeah,
Try, because I just tried, you know,
sure.
and that try turned into impacting over 30,000 people and millions of people across the world. So just with a try. So just try. I tell people
Love it.
just try.
Go for it.
Go for it. Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, Sharae, it's just been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for joining the hot seat and sharing more about your foundation and all the great work that you're doing in our field. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being with us.